Saturday night. Welcome to the Land Tamer stream, folks. Good to see you. I've got some windows missing here, don't I? Oh, there they are. Yeah, we got a chat window and, just hanging out here doing a little networking on a Saturday night. Hope you're having a good weekend. I've got a few more little labbing software hacks just to talk about. A couple little updates on the channel and what's been going on with me in terms of getting ready. Well, transitioning to like a labbing mode. And we're in labbing mode. We're in pretty much full-time labbing / learning mode as well. Network bruh, hey, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Hope you're enjoying this Florida weather, man. We got out a little while ago. Went for some coffee, got me a little Dunkin' caffeine for the labs tonight. And man, this weather is great right now, but it's supposed to get cold again tomorrow here. So yeah, Florida, it's funny. Like you can have an 80-degree day. It's the middle of winter for most people, right? It's January. And it's like below 20 in Boston. But in Florida right now, was near 80 today. But tomorrow it's going to get cold again. So it's like up and down, up and down. Not complaining though. Love it. Yeah, hope you're doing good, my friend. Yeah, we got a new video series out. It was nice how, yeah, Florida weather is unpredictable. It sure is. So true. So finally got one. My goal this weekend is to get at least 2 out. I got 1 out this afternoon, which is part 1. This video series is basically my take on how to pass the CCIE written exam. So I've actually posted that a little while ago, recorded it, and it is now on YouTube. So definitely, check it out, give it a like. And hopefully it'll be good. I mean, again, it is my take. There's a lot of different takes. The more input you get, obviously, if you're trying to tackle this beast, the better, right? That's what the community's for. So, and I have an interesting story, I think, because of how, I started out doing it one way, and then I kind of did a 180, and then, so it's interesting how you have to adapt, and I think that's what it's all about. So I hope you enjoy it. Also doing a couple of content creator type tweaks, channel tidy ups, just little things that I've been noticing for a long time. I've not really taken the time to fix because, I've been so focused on the written and getting past that. I'm still trying to get, be efficient on my labbing time and not squander that. But at the same time, these things that have been bothering me for a while, just little things like logos being wrong, and I've been wanting to improve the thumbnails on the YouTube videos, things like that. So I'm learning a lot. But I spent a good bit of time today in the lab, and I keep finding things I can do to make the lab work smoother, and most importantly, more faster, more efficient. So I created a document today. Let me see where I have this. I think it is, yeah. So I've got these, right now, I have 3 EVE-NG servers. I'm probably going to reduce that down to 2 at some point. So I've got 1 in Azure. It's called VM EU2 EVE-NG. It's in the EU2 region. Which I think is DC. And then I've got, this is actually EVE-NG large. So what I'm trying to do is use more let's see, this one is 20 CPUs. This one's 16 CPUs. But for some reason, the 20 it burns credits a lot quicker. So I've transitioned to this one today. Yesterday, or Thursday, you may have seen me on stream, I was a little behind. Casadix is like, hey, I think you're a little behind, so didn't say as much, but I figured out I need to upgrade, so got that done. And I'm trying to just get things to run like faster. So what I did today is I've created these bunch of commands that I can use. So for example, one is to log in to Azure and launch the virtual machine. So things I'm going to do very routinely. So it's going to kick me back here. And then all I have to do is start the VM. Casadix, I was just mentioning you and your help yesterday. Good to see you. Yeah, so this is AZVM. This is Azure. You know, Azure has a bash like CLI where you can pretty much do, you can build things, you can delete things, you can launch. I mean, just about anything you could do from the portal, you can do with the AZ command once you've authenticated. So this is all I have to do to boot my VM remote. Then what I wanted to do is create a, if you want to do Wireshark captures on a Mac using EVE-NG Community Edition, you have to connect to the IP address of your server instead of the host name. You know, like when I'm doing the HTML5 connection. So the thing about it is, each time you stop and start, I'm not using a dedicated IP address, you know, static. I'm using dynamic, which is cheaper. So what happens is, I wanted a way, and I almost wrote thought about writing a Python script for this. So I'm like, no, that's going to come later. Python is after CCIE. I have written a Python script here or there, but like a very simple Python script takes me like all day at this stage. So what I did is I said, I'll just use bash, and I figured out a way to, I learned this command today, by the way. I did not know this command. So you could type host, and that'll give you the IP address. Like I've always done like NSLOOKUP or dig or something like that. Oh, this is cool. It gives you both. Turner TLS map fastly.net. That's interesting. But I wanted a way to grep, like, you know, just query I already know the host name of the Azure VM. That is permanent. So I do a host, and then instead of a grep, I figure if I do a sed command, I pipe a sed command on that, it'll come back with just the IP address. Then I don't even care what it is because it's going to change next time. I'm going to do a open Google Chrome http:// and then this function here, $, whatever the IP address is. So all in one step, I'm querying the the host name for the IP, and I'm modifying that output, and I'm launching Chrome to open that IP. So this should work now. Boom. So just little things like that took me a few little steps before. I'm trying to automate a little bit. The other thing I struggle with automating is, these are other commands too. Like sometimes I'll need to shell, and then to shut down the VM right here. So just little lab hacks to save time and little annoyances. So that's one thing I've sped up. Launching the lab, shutting down the lab, that'll save time too, because now instead of whenever I want to shut down the lab, it's not going to be as, it's not always convenient to launch the portal, click virtual machines, I go select the VM, click stop, click yes. So I'm saving about 5 steps with just one single command right here. That's going to save me credits too. The other challenge I have is synchronizing lab files across multiple instances. So one thing I decided from the beginning is, now that I'm getting into, pretty much just lab, and I'm doing EVE-NG this time instead of viral, I want to start out right, and I want to be able to synchronize my lab setups. So I'm going to be building labs. I'm going to be importing like the INE labs. I'm going to be building some of my own. I already have an extensive sort of history of labs here. So the way I figured to do that is, I have 3 lab instances right now. First, I'm going to minimize that down to, I'll probably leave it at 3, but just actively use 2. One in Azure, one in this box right here, this machine. This one is Pro version, and the one in Azure is Community Edition. Not a big deal. I've already exchanged lab files between Pro and Community, and it hasn't really been a big deal. But maintaining those file locations, I had a way to do it before. I thought maybe I'd introduce TFTP. Based on what I learned from Tony E, that's not an efficient way to do it. So what I'm going to do is use Git. Network Bro, did you figure out the copy-paste issues with the initial configs? I found a way to make that work better, Network Bro. One thing to do is there's a couple little tricks. If you, first of all, I found a way to where I don't have to copy paste into the console. So, and this I got from Tony E, and he showed me this is what he does. Let me get logged in here and I'll show you. But basically, there's sort of an issue with the clipboard manager. It's not the most reliable extension. So let me see if I can enable it again. But what you can do is like toggle the extension on and off. Well, I didn't think I had removed it. Let's see, clipboard permission. Okay, wow, I thought I still had it running. This is probably still like booting up. So yeah, just a matter of, it has a little toggle on there. So if you start to see problems, you just toggle it on, toggle it off again, or toggle it off, toggle it on again, and that will help. Also, the problem gets exacerbated sometimes when you use the like a Linux console, which is VNC. So if you keep that running like in a separate browser, that sometimes helps. But what Tony E was showing me that he does is, so I'm going to go ahead and open this, is he tends to like edit it here in startup configs. So you can copy paste in here, and that works much better. You just have to do it like before you do startup, right? As far as copy and pasting on the router while it's running, that is still a little buggy, but by toggling that extension on and off, it works a little better. So, but yeah, in terms of like syncing up these 3 instances of labs, what I decided, and I've been using Git, and I've just made that a little more efficient. And there are some caveats though. So essentially what I do is I have a Git repo with all the lab files. And I have a copy here, right, on my desktop. So I can edit lab files here if I want. Let me open that. Yeah. I call it Lab Sync. It's a private repo. But here are all of the, actually, let me open it in Finder. So this is synced with the Git repo. So all I have to do is if I want to make edits here, I can do that. You know, you can actually edit these UNL files, right? I've consolidated a lot of my folders. So I've got INE, I've got initial multicast. It's a lot easier, obviously, to do mass edits on your desktop than I want to always open with. So, you know, I can come in here and make changes and then sync it with Git. And then when I boot up the VM, I just shell to the VM, I pull down the changes, and then I copy it from the local Git folder into the Eve folder. And the Eve folder for your labs is, let me log into there now. Where's my commands? Yeah. So let's say I made a change on my local PC. I did a push, and then I just log into the actual EVE-NG server. I have a Git folder, lab sync, and then this is everything. Then all I have to do is copy it from here into your EVE-NG folder, which is opt unet lab labs. So that way I can keep in sync. Let's say I make a lot of changes on that server and I create like 5 new labs during a day of labbing. Well, then I just repeat the process, right? I reverse it. I copy everything from this folder into Git folder, and then I do a push up to the remote repo and the master repo, and then I just pull it down if I switch to another lab server. All I have to do, go into Git when I boot it up, pull down all the changes, copy them to my E folder. So that's kind of how, and that seems to work. There are a couple of caveats when you do that, and that is with permissions. So generally all I do is after I do a copy is I'll just reset all the permissions to allow anyone, right? So I have actually kind of a script for that. I may create a single bash script. So this is when you do git to EVE-NG folder. You do git pull. You basically just wipe out your labs folder and then copy your repo to the lab unit to the E folder, like I mentioned. Then you update the permissions, the owner, and chmod, and then kind of the other way around to reverse. Now I want to update my Git repo, so I just pull down the latest, copy all the contents of the E folder to Git, and then do a commit and push, and you're good to go. So yeah, I did make changes to that. So I'm going to keep that text file like handy when I'm working with labs and keep everything. And that also serves as sort of a backup. So you've at any one time, you have a backup of all of your files. One thing that Tony E mentioned, and I knew that in viral this was easy to change, but one thing I did want to change just for a proof of concept is to delay startup. So I wanted to stagger, you know, and it's not a big deal. It's not really a big deal either for 10 routers, at least in Eve, it's not in Azure. But once you get like a 70 router lab, you know, you might want to stagger your startups of, you can do that manually, right? You can just highlight a group of routers, right click, start selected. But if you know you're going to boot up the whole thing, you might want to go and just edit your UNL file. And as I showed earlier, there's simply just a parameter in there you can open, like in this. I ain't opened the right one. You just search for delay, and you could see like 000. You could actually change all of these at once if you wanted to in Visual Studio Code. But you could do like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40, 50. That way your routers, and it doesn't peg your CPU too hard as they boot. There's a lot of other potential there for like standardizing UNL files. Now that I know you can pretty much edit them at will, I'm going to do a little more of that as I see the need. So just a few little hacks there. So lab progress notes, let me actually pull up the workbook. I'll show you where I'm at. I've made some good progress today. I've actually, so yeah, as you may know, I'm going back through MULTICAST, and I did a couple of these labs today. I got through PIMDents. I redid this one. You know, I've done these before, but I'm going back through them. So probably this evening or tomorrow, I'll hopefully tackle these. I've been going slow because what I've been doing is, as I encounter things, I'm really going kind of deep. Like today I did some packet captures. I analyzed all the packets for a sparse mode lab with the rendezvous point. And I made sure I understood exactly what was going on, what messages were being triggered, you know, how the tree was changing, what the multicast route table at any one time was telling me. And man, I'm learning a lot. So it's been good. I spent a number of hours on that today. I've got a couple new pcaps out there that are also in the repo. You can look at those at any time. And you can use this as just sort of a library. You can always check, but yeah, IP PIM sparse mode, static RPs. So yeah, I dug through this one, and these days I'm doing a much better job of like just copying the packets that are pertinent to what's being studied. So I've got a couple of things I'm going to post on Instagram, like a couple little quizzes in the next few days about some of these and what they mean, and just some fun stuff like that. But yeah, I'm learning a lot. That's going really well. I added a lot of flashcards. As a matter of fact, so what I'm doing is, as I'm going slower in the beginning, understanding these topologies really well and how multicast works, I'm going through the Cisco docs, and I read through almost the entirety of a couple of Cisco docs today and started creating these more flashcards. So right now my deck is at 42. And these are very like specific things. What is the PIM IPv4 protocol number? Multicast route flag S indicates this, or T, that the SPT bit is set, shortest path tree. Purpose of a PIM decap tunnel. Like, there's a lot of details in here. Folks, I will be making this available, I've decided, publicly at some point. I need to figure out how to do that with Anki. So those will be there, and you can use them because I've not taken the lab. So I can't, I can't slip in any questions from the lab exam in here because, I haven't taken it. So that's the way to do flashcards and be able to share them. So yeah, I did those labs, and that's about it, folks. I want to do some more, hopefully tonight, may or may not tonight, but definitely tomorrow I'll be labbing a good bit. It's going to be cold here, so I'll be inside, I'll be labbing, and hopefully get quite a few hours in tomorrow and make progress on the workbook. So I've got a few things to take care of right now, but I want to share this meat chunk. That one I already did. This one's really cool, service architectures. This is the future, folks. Like, I'm on a, working a cloud team, and we're working on promoting these sorts of designs where servers, the way you think of them and develop for them, is changing, and it has changed already. And this is a pretty good, like, from a networking, I think this is a networker from their perspective on kind of not a super deep dive, but kind of conceptual and not too long. So good stuff. So yeah, that's it, folks. That's all I got for tonight. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate everybody stopping by in the chat. Good to see you. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend. We'll be back on tomorrow. I'll post in Discord, of course, when I'm about to start streaming, and we can hang out some more. So let's take a great advantage of the free time, any free time we have this weekend, and get in some of those studies, generate some good bits in our labs, and we shall see you all back here tomorrow on Land Tamer Stream. Have a great night.